Well, I got a lover named Liberty. Yeah, she's always telling me I gotta be free. I'm never gonna put any chains on me. Oh, she's the kind of lover that you just don't leave. Yeah, if I wanna keep her, I gotta treat her right. Yeah, to come for liberty, you know you better get up and fight. All the enemies of liberty are always drawing near. Yeah, defend liberty before she disappears. Well, I got a lover named Liberty. Oh, we fit together so naturally. Yeah, gift from God given to me. Oh, she is the one on divine beauty. Yeah, if I wanna keep her, I better treat her right. Oh, they come with liberty, you know you better get up and fight. Yeah, the enemies of liberty are always drawing near. Yeah, defend liberty before she disappears. Well, I got a lover named Liberty. Oh, before I was born, she was loving on me. Yeah, always teaching humanity.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with another live show. My name is Will Keller. Thank you so much for joining. See, we're live on Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, the One Great Work Network. Go check that out. And YouTube, of course. So thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a hell of a little convo. So I've decided to do every 2 weeks. I'm going to do a mini presentation of an important topic, and then bring some people on. So I'll post that link in the comments a little bit later on after I deliver my little mini presentation. And if anyone wants to join the conversation, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling spicy on this topic because every time I mention morality on social media or in discussions, people are so far off from what it actually is. And some of the comments are kind of, absurd, unreal, and it just shows, kind of where people are at on the most important topic and the most fundamental topic in existence. I'll say that again. The topic of morality is the most crucial topic to know. It's the most important spiritual information to understand in existence, and it is vital to understand what is going on in the current human condition on this planet. This is getting down to the bullseye, the source of what we need to know. Morality is also the most fundamental information in existence for human beings, but yet it's the most ignored, misleading information And, this is something that's been occulted for many, many years, because this is that topic that once people understand, apply it to themselves, apply it to the world, and activate with it, then we will see change. So this is that one factor. See, we got some people in the chat. What's up? Jason, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. The Libercast is on here. Nitsud, sorry if I didn't pronunciate that correctly. Peter, Holly, Aquarian Heart, Axel, what's up, brother? Amanda, thank you guys for joining. Appreciate it. So again, my website is willkeller.com. You can go check out my presentations, my podcasts, all my work. And let me get my slides loaded up that I failed to do before the presentation. So I love doing live shows. I have a format that I want to use when I do my weekly live show, but I'm not using that right now. So I've decided to just stick with every 2 weeks I'm going to do a presentation. So I'm looking forward to that. Give me 1 second. I don't know what's going on here. Give me a shout out. Where are you guys from? How you guys are doing? Slides. File. Okay. Give me 1 second. I see the issue. Tech problems. So, let me pull this up real quick. Sorry for the delay, everyone. Recent. There it is. Okay. Every platform has different file types that it wants to use, and I'm using a different format. So instead of JPEGs, I got to do PDFs, which will just take me 2 seconds to load up. So I'll as this is loading up right now, I want to do a caveat with this topic. It's good to understand, to be, in a true place of open-mindedness, meaning in the beginning, try to just listen to the information that I present. And the problem with this topic that I see with a lot of people is their own perceived mental definitions and what they believe or what they think it is. And they don't go any further. They don't activate that seeker and that desire to actually know. And they just hold on to their own perceived definitions, and they think they know what it is, and they just hold that close to them, and they're always spewing out the information that they think they know when they see a topic. They see a keyword, someone talking about morality. And again, this can be for any type of topic. When you ask someone what's going on in the world today, a lot of people have answers, right? And there's a lot of answers out there. But descriptions are not explanations, meaning someone can describe, the tunnels in New York, the genocide in Gaza, this, that, the pandemic, all this kind of stuff. And yet all of these events are deplorable. They're a description. They are the effects of what is actually going down in the causal realm, the causal factor. And to understand a problem, you need to have a correct diagnosis, right? So that correct diagnosis, which diagnosis means by way of knowledge, gnosis, and using that trivium method of truth discovery, that's where we have to gather all the grammar, process it. This is where the disconnect happens with a lot of people. A lot of people, don't go all the way and gather all the correct knowledge, but they don't process it. They don't filter it correctly, because a lot of people are they're rooted in that mammalian state of mind where it's just about emotions, and they judge the veracity of information by the way it makes them feel. And then they base it on if that's true or false, on how they feel. So, give gathering all the information, processing it, and then outputting it in your behavior and in your rhetoric. Upload file. Here we go. Almost there. Okay. Let's bring this on the stage. What's up, CB? Jay? Ontario, Canada? Pennsylvania? All right. Canada. Hi, Julia. Thanks for joining. Elliot, what's up? It's loaded up my slides right now. And I'm sure, people watching me right now, they're going to understand the information that I'm about to talk about. But again, keep in mind, my whole motto is simplify the profound. So this is a little mini presentation. Hopefully, people, outside of the live show can view this. Add to the stage. Perfect. Okay. So again, this mini presentation is morality. Right versus wrong. And I already gave my caveats. So, to be truly open-minded means you will consider information, but you have a willingness to change as well. This is what it means to be truly open-minded and to have true teachability, where you're slightly skeptical and then slightly trusting, meaning you'll take in the information and hold it and apply introspection, which sometimes takes days, weeks, months, who knows? But you follow through on the grammar and the understanding, and then you can come up with your conclusion. So I'm going to use kind of the Socratic method. It's really for a debate style, but I'm going to use it in this presentation. We're going to start it off with my position on morality. My position of this topic is that morality is the most important information to understand what is going on in this day and age and to create change by understanding morality. And my position is that the majority of people have an incorrect definition of morality. So I'm going to start with the problem of what's going on in the world. Right? The human condition. So the human species is in a downward spiral towards bondage, suffering, and ultimately destruction because human beings in the aggregate, the collective, have an inaccurate, false worldview. We do not understand the causal factors or the root of the problem. We are in a self-induced hypnosis, an unconscious feedback loop of suffering and control because we do not understand ourselves, our psychology, and how the natural world, our reality, operates. Thus, we are manifesting what we do not want in the world because we, as a species, are unconscious on how the real laws of manifestation work. The laws of manifestation work based upon if we are truly moral beings or not. And as a species, we are certainly immoral beings because of what we choose to believe and what we continue to condone. The majority of human beings on this planet are not only ignorant to what objective morality truly is, the majority of human beings on this planet are completely immoral due to their incorrect thoughts and actions, thus condoning and contributing to the causal factors of suffering in the world. The suffering in the world will continue until we change our thoughts and actions and understand objective morality. Truly understand what morality is and activate within ourselves thoughts and actions. Thoughts supersede emotions and actions. It always starts from the mind. The mind is the causal level. The universe is mental, right? So once you take it into your mind, that has an effect on how you feel, on your emotions, because emotions are just energy in motion from the mentation, from the thoughts that you are thinking. Our emotions are also a compass, a frequency compass, right? We understand when we're doing something wrong. It doesn't feel good. We understand when we are on our path. We feel that gratitude and that pride. And then, of course, our actions, act ion, meaning that we are performing in the physical manifested world. We are transmuting that energy. And we are creating action, so we're performing the energy. Very important. That is the law of manifestation. So this is my position. Next, we're going to define our terms. So what is morality? Morality comes from the Latin moralis, it means right behavior. The Oxford Dictionary definition states morality is principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong behavior. So it's good to start with define our terms and our definitions. Now, the problem comes in that people don't understand when I'm talking about objective morality. The majority of people think it is a social construct, meaning that it is subjective. You have your morals, I have my morals, they have their morals. Completely incorrect. Even by definition, that is wrong. The etymology, meaning the origin of the word, states morales, right behavior. The logical progression is, well, what is a right? Right behavior. Then there's wrong behavior. They're opposites. So what is right behavior? What is wrong behavior? The Oxford Dictionary definition, principles concerning the distinction. Right there, it's saying there's a distinction. There's a difference between right and wrong behavior. We're going to dive into this because absolutely there is. So let's touch on objective versus subjective. And my position is I'm stating morality is objective. And I'm going to add more to that later on because, people kind of fight tooth and nail. So let's look at objective. Objective means it is inherent to reality, nature. It is universal. Okay, so it exists, factual. It's also immutable, meaning that it applies to all humans. Now, morality only applies to humans and beings with the capacity of humans or beyond. So I'm not talking about the animal kingdom, the plant or mineral kingdom. This is getting into, occulted spirituality, that consciousness is supreme and that there are gradients and levels of consciousness. No, human beings are not animals. We have an animalistic part of our brain and our function, but we are not animals. Because of our capacity of higher order thinking, we are able to utilize logic and reason and a higher level of intuition and spirituality. We can come to know what this deep, higher level spirituality is. This puts us in a whole different game, whole different level of consciousness and energy. So also, objective, it is consistent regardless of perception, beliefs, personal opinions, feelings, time, or place, location. Okay? So it doesn't matter where you're at, doesn't matter the time period, objective. Now, subjective is obviously the opposite of objective. It is based upon perception, beliefs, and opinions. It's relative to each individual, right? And it's relative to time and location. So it varies upon interpretation. Okay? Now, I want to talk about real quick what is perception. Okay? Let me see if I can get... Let me see if I remove this. Okay. So we need to understand perception, our percept, is the lens by which we view the world. So it's the lens as an individual is taking in information, the information of what's going on within oneself and within their environment, right? Which is also consciousness. And we crunch all that information. We start to come out with our own conclusion, our own rhetoric. And this is our worldview. So this is what perception is. Now, our childhood, our experiences, everything has an effect on our perception, our worldview. But that is not reality. This is part of our experience, our individual experience. Reality. Now, reality is different. Reality is objective, meaning that we are all together living in one reality, and it is objective because the laws of nature are immutable and they work the same for all human beings. So we are having a subjective experience, meaning each of our experiences are very unique, in an objective reality. So we're all co-creators. We're sharing this reality together. This is why the responsibility is on all of us, right? We are not individually creating our realities. This is such a erroneous mind virus that, mainly a lot of the New Age circles, subscribe to that. When you hear someone say, my truth or my reality, I'm changing my reality. No, there's one reality, and you can come to know the absolute truth of that reality. Now, I'm not saying the totality of all. I'm just saying you can come to know truth. The truth, what is the truth about what is going on on this planet with human beings? What is the truth of the human condition? You can come to know that. And that takes hard work and dedication. So as human beings, this is our goal. Our goal is to align our perception, our experience with that which is, with the truth of reality. All right? So that's perception. Perception is not reality. This is why I do this work, to give people information so they can synthesize and have a more accurate, truthful, and moral perception of what is going on in the world and themselves. All right. So we talked about morality. What is morality? It's right behavior, principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong behavior. Logically, you have to ask the question, okay, what is a right? If the definition of morality is right behavior, the difference between right and wrong, what is a right? So a right simply is an action that does not cause harm to another sentient being. As human beings, and this also applies for the animals as well because they are autonomous, they are their own individual being roaming, separate from the actual earth, roaming the planet. Human beings, we each are having our individual experience. Okay? I incarnated into this body. I am responsible for this body. I am accountable for this body. No one else is jumping into my body. We're not jumping in and out of bodies, using them like clothes. I mean, some people are thinking that, when it comes to genders and ideologies, but it's not, in truth, this is not what's happening. Okay? So because we exist in this reality, we are going to interact. We are going to interact with other beings. It's going to happen. It's a fact. Now, what is the nature? What is the condition of that interaction? This is where morality comes into play. And I'm going to talk about ethics later on as well. But morality is pointing to two or more people or another being besides yourself, right? This is what it's implying. Now, ethics, again, I'll get to that later on, but a right is any action that does not cause harm to another sentient being. Now, here's a question that always comes up that people always talk about. Well, who dictates harm? Now think about this. You exist in this reality. There is no handbook. See, this is where the fundamentalist religionists want to come in. They step in and they hold the Bible and other religious doctrines up on a pedestal. Like the creator of the universe really came down here and wrote a fucking book. No, there's no handbook that states how to operate and the spiritual principles by which we need to operate. It's a living Bible. It's a living constitution, and that's called nature, because nature is creation. Nature is truth. And we can use our faculties to observe nature and understand nature, and this will give us insight on how to act. So, the deciding factor of harm, we're going to get down to the foundations of what the wrongdoings are. Human beings have the capacity to feel and to understand and have common sense on what harm is. For instance, okay, if you were driving and you hit someone on accident and killed them, you would feel like shit. Even though it was an accident, you would feel like shit. You can feel the harm that was caused. You can feel when you have done someone wrong. This is heart-based intelligence. Now, again, this is hard for a lot of people because apathy is so prevalent, right? So there's a lot of secondary psychopaths that have numbed themselves on many levels where they're not feeling these emotions. But regardless, we can talk about an unlimited amount of right behaviors or right actions. We are going to use an occulted method. It's called, oops, that's not what it is. This is what it is. It is called the apophatic method. Actually, I will go back to that. Sorry, I jumped ahead of myself. So we look at right and wrong. Now, we use the word right for a few other things. We say, yes, I am right on a certain statement. That's because it means correct. And correct is based in truth. It also means moral because it is in harmony with the laws of nature. And actions based in it do not result in harm to other sentient beings. Now, we use wrong as a wrong behavior or action because it did result in harm to another being or person, right? We also use wrong as incorrect. No, you are wrong because it is not based in truth. It's also immoral because it is in opposition to nature, to the laws of nature. So this is the ways that we use this word and how they mesh together, right? A right is based in truth. It is correct. It is moral. You know, this has a certain vibratory energy. Freedom goes into that category as well, which I will discuss later on. Wrongdoings has a certain vibratory energy, and slavery and control and duress go into that category because it is wrong, it is incorrect, it is immoral. So again, we'll dive into that later on. But instead of listing all the right actions and behaviors one can take, because really it's an unlimited process. That's the beautiful thing about existing in reality. We are going to use an occulted method of truth discovery. It is called the lost art of retroduction. It's also called the apophatic inquiry, or apophatis. This is the apophatic method. Okay, so this method is a method of logical reasoning employed when given a limited set of possibilities in order to arrive at knowledge by way of the exclusion of known negatives. So, describing what something is by explaining what it is not. So, this process of truth discovery is ancient and remains unseen from modern education. This process of apophatic, the lost art of retroduction, is an ancient process. This is how a lot of ancient peoples understood what God is. We can understand what a right is or a wrongdoing by this process. So this is affirmation through negation. Here's a crude example over here on the right. This is something that parents can explain to their children. How do you find a needle in a haystack? You burn the hay. That which remains will be the needle. Okay, so that is a process of apophatic, the apophatic method. So when we're applying this to what a right is and to morality, let's look at the negative. What are the wrongdoings? So we can do that. And these are the transgressions against natural law. These are the true 7 deadly sins. These are the true 7 deadly sins that religionists, mainly Christianity, have taken and inverted these transgressions and actually turned really them into vices. And you could talk about the commandments and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna really dig into religion in a little bit, because this is the problem with a lot of people when it comes to morality. They're still religious in their thought processes, mainly Christianity. It still has a hold, even if they claim that they are not religious. The programming and the conditioning is still there. So, using the process of negation, we're going to look at the wrongdoings. Okay, it's pretty simple: murder, assault, rape, theft, trespass, coercion, and lying. And yes, Mark Passio has talked about these. This is objective. There's no situation where murder is a right. There's no situation where an assault is a right. Rape, theft, trespass, coercion, and willfully lying is a right doing. It doesn't matter what country you're from, time, location, etc. It does not matter. They're all a taking of something. It's a theft of another person, loss, injury, or harm, a person or property, and that is a wrongdoing. Now, this is objective morality. This is the foundation that human beings need to understand on how to operate in reality. It's so simple, but yet the hard part is coming up. A lot of people agree with this. Murder, assault, rape, theft, trespass, coercion, and lying. Now, here's the problem. Let's take this out. A lot of people can't apply a concept to themselves or to the world, what is going on in the world. For instance, these transgressions. Everyone owes everyone one thing: do no harm. If you are aggressed upon, you have the right to defend yourself. These are objective principles. Now, a lot of people will agree with that, except when you start talking and you bring government into the conversation. Now people start to squirm, because government, which I'm going to touch on here in a minute. Let's go right to it. Government, right, are humans calling themselves government, have the ability to control people through coercion and violence, but they erroneously claim they have the right to do so. This is the belief in human authority over other humans, which means some people are masters who have the moral right to issue commands, and others are slaves who have a moral obligation to obey the masters. That's the claim. So the belief in human authority is a dogmatic, religious, illusory mental concept that has been programmed and conditioned into the minds of humanity for eons. The majority of people in the world support, condone, worship this belief system, which is the supporting and condoning of slavery. So people have this hard time understanding that government is not an entity. It is a group of human beings, that are making the claim, that they have the right to violate, coerce, and violate others, transgress upon others, which this is a false claim. Absolutely. This is why government is eternally slavery, because you cannot make a wrongdoing a right. You can't give someone you yourself do not have. You cannot give a right to someone that you yourself do not have. If you can't steal from your neighbor, you can't abdicate that right magically to a group of people saying they can steal from my neighbor. Not in reality, the realm of the real, in truth. It is only a mental, fictitious concept in the mind of a sick individual that's living in a fantasy world. So this is the problem. I mean, so when we look at the world and we understand that governments are running rampant, corporations running rampant, order followers, the police and military violating people in record droves. The number one death on this planet is democide, which is death by government in some capacity. And even after that is malpractice, death by ignorant doctors, which is still the belief in human authority. The belief in human authority, putting someone up on a pedestal saying they are the authority, they are the author of me or other individuals, right? This is what authority means: to author, to own, to possess, have ownership of. So it doesn't matter if it's in a police uniform, camouflage, a doctor's lab coat, right? It does not matter. In nature, in the realm of the real, a right is a right, a wrong is a wrong. Doesn't matter who you are or where you're at. So back in the definition, the Oxford Dictionary said the principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong behavior. So what are the principles of morality? These are the two pillars of enlightenment. So the principles, the two pillars, are the non-aggression principle and the self-defense principle. The non-aggression principle is the sacred feminine, which is do not initiate harm or aggression upon other sentient beings, right? This, you owe everyone one thing in this reality, and is do no harm. So, and then you have the second principle, which is the principle of self-defense. This is the masculine principle, the sacred masculine. And you have the natural right to defend yourself if aggressed upon. So these two, the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine, they also represent the two hemispheres of the brain. And when you bring them together, when you have the alchemical wedding and they are in balance, they birth a child, and that child is self-ownership. Owning one's self, becoming the sovereign. The supra, meaning that you are the owner of your actions, your thoughts, emotions, and actions. You are, you possess yourself. You control its usage responsibly, and you have accountability for your actions. Again, keep in mind, remember that this is the foundational information of existence. This is what our children should know. This is what we should be teaching our children. And if we want to evolve in consciousness, this is the foundation, the structure. How to operate in this reality, how to treat each other. We're very far from accomplishing that stage, but this is the great work. educating people on this fundamental, highly spiritual information. There's a lot of comments. I'm excited to kind of go through them. I'm just kind of delivering the presentation right now, but at the end, you guys put those questions in there. I'll go through the comments. I'm excited to check those out. All right, so moving on. So here's the biggest problem. Now, I've already stated that morality is objective, and the biggest problem is that the majority of people do not think it is objective. They think it is subjective, meaning it's whatever anyone says it is, right? Meaning government can say whatever it is. Another group of people can say what it is, he, she, whatever, right? It's completely relative. This is the destroyer of all freedom, moral relativism. So moral relativism is the ideology/religion that objective morality does not exist inherently to nature, and that right and wrong are subjective constructs, which human beings may create and or decide according to time, location, circumstance, and preference. This is exactly what all religions also believe as well. Right? This is why there's so many religious wars, is because the Muslims have their own set of morality. Christians have their own set of morality. The Jews, the Hindus, the Buddhas, whatever. It expands beyond cultural religions to Republicans, Democrats, right? Even libertarians as well. So the majority of these people all hold subjective morality, that morals, right and wrong, is relative. It's mind-blowing that in America, when I talk to people, again, it depends if you're left or right, slave leaning, but usually the Republicans, they're so ensconced in the holding back of consciousness, the religion of Christianity, and they think also that their rights come from the Constitution. Your rights do not come from a book. They do not come from the constitutions. They are inherent into the fabric of creation, of reality. So this is the whole problem, is that people are ignorant to what morality really is, and they think that, a constitution grants them their rights. They think that rights or morality is inscribed in a religious doctrine that has been controlled and created by human beings and used for deception. Let me rip on this a little bit. All cultural religions, all their information, their knowledge was stolen from the previous ages of the animists and what mainly Christians call pagans, which all a pagan is, it's a derogatory term meaning country dweller, someone that's outside of the system of the Abrahamic religions. But these people for hundreds and thousands of years lived so close to nature and observed nature, just like the indigenous people nowadays, currently in our world. You ever notice that the indigenous people are closer to truth in reality? Because they understand nature and how nature works and natural law and the laws of nature. So, but the cultural religions took that information, that knowledge, slaughtered all the animists in genocide, and they took that information and they used it for control, right? They created the religious, the holy books. This is why so many people, they think that morality comes from the Bible, that Jesus is the arbiter of truth, or, it doesn't matter who it is in the cultural religions. No, it is ingrained in nature. This is what nature is, creation. So the cultural religions, these are stolen images, stolen knowledge, where a good portion of it can be used for spiritual development, but there's a lot of deception in there, a lot of deception. That's even if someone has the willpower to even understand the allegories and the astrotheology in their religion, which the majority of people do not have, do not do. So, moral relativism. This is the destroyer of freedom. This is the cancer in the minds of humanity. And just as Aquinas said, there can be no true liberty in a civilization that enshrines moral relativity. And that's a fact. So we talked about government. So here it is. Ignorance is the Achilles heel of humanity. Only when the knowledge of objective morality and natural law become common sense knowledge will humanity be free. There is no freedom without morality. So, the knowledge of objective morality is the Achilles heel, which the Achilles heel, I have down here in the corner in the definition, is a seemingly small but critical weakness in an otherwise strong position. It's the foundational information. And people have a lack of nature and reality, truth, that they think it is relative and subjective. And this is why governments control people, they influence people, is that because the majority of human beings do not understand the difference between right and wrong, and they condone and support slavery and violence in their thoughts and in their actions. And the law of freedom. So the law of freedom, freedom and morality are directly proportional. Ignorance begets slavery, and knowledge begets morality and freedom. Okay? The law of freedom states as morality increases, freedom increases. And as morality declines, freedom declines. Now think about it, right? As in the collective, in the group, the aggregate, we're talking about the human condition on this planet. As humanity understands what right and wrong are, and they act with right action, then we will start to see the condition, the human condition, start to go towards a more free condition, the ending of society. As more people understand the difference between right and wrong, they will logically, hopefully, understand that all the governments, the police and military don't have the right to do what they do. Of course, action is involved. So what is that action? That action always starts in the mind, freeing yourself first in the mind, breaking the chains of mental slavery. We need more people to understand what objective morality is. Common sense, that's right. Libercast. Okay. I want to check out these comments, but let me try to wrap this up. So, true freedom can never exist in a society that embraces moral relativism, because true freedom can never exist in a state where human beings do not understand right behavior versus wrong behavior. Can never, by law, by the laws of nature. And this is what natural law is all about. You know, natural law is a huge category. You could spend lifetimes studying natural law, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to study nature, because nature is the ultimate mentor, okay? But just we are so ensconced in negative knowledge, meaning that this is the greatest task, to educate people, to have people look within themselves and break their false programming and conditioning, just to get up to par, on the level where how we're supposed to act and treat each other, the difference between right and wrong. So once we get to there, and I mean, you can see what some of the greatest minds in histories, Walter Russell, Nikola Tesla, Boscovich, Wilhelm Reich, these some of the most incredible minds and inventors, right? They all had common similarities. They observed nature and they understood how the laws of nature operated, and they incorporated that into their inventions, into their innovations. That's what they did. This is how, I mean, free energy, all the stuff, it all exists. It's being suppressed, obviously, but nature is the mentor. So, understanding that no change is going to occur until first we understand the difference between right and wrong. So a lot of the comments that I've gotten, people have messaging me videos from, this false flag, this psyop. I've recently, if you're not talking about the tunnels, then you're a shill. I'm not going to talk about the tunnels because there are hundreds of fucking people talking about the tunnels in New York. And you know what? No change is there by understanding that there are monsters, psychopaths, and deplorable events happening all over the world. It's been going on for thousands of years, and it will continue to go on for thousands of years. It's nothing new. It will continue. So what the fuck are we going to do about it? That's the question. Those are the comments I want to hear, right? Like, Will, what the fuck can I do? I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to educate your first on the most foundational information of nature on how to operate. And we need to get others to understand this as well, so they can opt out of supporting and condoning this corrupt, violent, immoral system. People think that exposing the tunnels or exposing the genocide. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not condoning that type of immoral behavior, but they think that exposing this is going to bring down the New World Order. This shit is on the news because they want you to see it. It's called perception management for behavior control. They want people running around in circles in that emotional state, that reactiveness. That's what they want. So they can fall victim to whatever dialectic gets proposed to them next round. So it's very common in the political system with the left and the right. You pit the left and the right against each other. That's what a dialectic is. It's two paths leading to the same destination. It is the realm of the effects, meaning if it has manifested in reality, that's the effect. The cause is in the mind. So this is the realm of change. All change must be in the mind. So to change the current human condition, individuals need to change the way they think, their thoughts, and act on that. And this is where objective morality comes in. The difference between right and wrong. And this ultimately is what karma is, right? The word karma means action. It's that. Karma's it's really easy. Think about the energy. The energy that's put out is the energy that comes back. But this, as far as the human condition, it works through a long period of time. And as more individuals contribute to the collective, that energy amplifies and multiplies. So what are we amplifying? What are we propagating? We're sowing bad seeds in the aggregate. Control, duress, slavery. And even when I say those words, the majority of people are like, yeah, fuck the New World Order. Yeah, we need to end that shit. But if you don't know how to create change, you're not doing fucking shit. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. So this is where the information comes into play. So when you sum it down to brass tacks, to the heart of the matter, there's only one true divide. One who knows Human authority or government is illegitimate because they are based upon coercion, violence, and slavery, which are eternally immoral and in opposition to natural law. Advocates free will choice in alignment with natural rights under the laws of creation. Freedom under natural law. The other side, one who believes in human authority invested, one who believes authority invested in certain human beings, which magically gives them government, the moral right to rule over other people and condone violence unto the disobedient, and advocates for the legitimacy of slavery, right? Slavery, that's the true divide. You either understand the difference between right or wrong, or you don't. You are either talking about objective morality and educating the people, or you are not. You're advocating for change, or you are not. It comes down to the context. That knowledge, that education to lead one out of the darkness of ignorance, that information right now and in our current time is the difference between right and wrong. Because guess what? 2 weeks from now, there's going to be a whole new set of farmers that are going to park their tractors out on the state capitol in Washington, D.C., and they're going to say, fuck you, we're dumping dirt on your street. And yes, that's how we're creating change. And that's how we're going to take down the New World Order. People don't understand the depths of what is going on in the realm of mind on this planet. The illusions, the fantasies, the people that are behind the veil, the social engineers. They are not the Klaus Schwabs, the Bill Gates. They aren't these fuckers. Those are the puppets. Those are the people that make the majority, the public, think that they're winning. They use them as a puppet. They get Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates to do certain shit. And then Klaus Schwab, just recently said, oh gosh, they're starting to rebel and revolt. And now everyone thinks there's a fucking awakening happening. You don't understand. These people behind the veil understand the most deep spiritual, psychological knowledge, and they're using it for a power differential. They're using it to engineer where they want human beings to go, where they want humanity to go. Understand the time period we're in. We're in a transitional period. Just as many years ago in kingship, where one person, because of his genetics, had the divine right to rule over others, the king or queen, consciousness in the collective started to change and started to realize that was bullshit, so they had to get rid of that system. So they went from kingship and queenship to government, and now we are going from government to a technocratic corporate type of level. We're in a transitional phase of the control system. So it goes deep. It goes deep. But focusing on the current events of the world, there is absolutely no change there. The change lies in the minds of individuals, because the individuals comprise the whole. This is what the word individual means. It means non-divided. So it has almost a dual meaning. It's recognizing that an individual, one unit, but that one unit is connected to all the others. So what you do, what I do, what all other individuals do affects the whole. Okay, wrapping up to the last slides, and this is what it ultimately comes down to. It's activating our conscience. Now, conscious, from the Latin prefix con, meaning together, and the Latin verb sciere, meaning to know. Conscience is common sense, meaning to know together. To know what? To know the objective difference between right and wrong. It is ingrained in our very being. Through the mind, through the receiver of information, the brain, to discern, to feel. We can feel harm. We can feel right and wrong as well. In the heart-based intelligence, they have to be aligned. Care, will, thoughts, actions. And this is what it ultimately is, right? Again, going back to that quote that only when the knowledge of objective morality and natural law become common sense knowledge will humanity become free. The knowledge of right and wrong must be known, must be the common knowledge. True spirituality is about freedom. There's not a lot of quote unquote spiritual people that will say this. It is all about freedom. It's all about morality. The meaning of life is the same for us all. The meaning of life is the same for every living being on this planet, is the same. Let that soak in, what I just said. The meaning of life is freedom. Every living being on this planet strives for freedom. That's because freedom is the natural state of reality. That's because consciousness wants to expand, grow, evolve, become more complex, diverse, unique, beautiful. This is what it wants to do. That is freedom. The opposite freedom, slavery, you could see as it's involution. It's the breaking down. It's the stagnation. Both of these forces operate in reality. This reality is a schoolyard for us to grow. We are here to learn and evolve. If that is taken away from us, then we are stunting our progress. And this is what the human condition is. When people talk about the soul trap, it's our human condition, that living in slavery, external slavery, because we are being restricted from experiencing and learning the lessons that we need to evolve in consciousness and spirituality. So the meaning of life is freedom. Doesn't matter if it's fungus, mycelium, amoebas, animals, plants. It all grows and expands and evolves. That's what it wants to do. That's the meaning of life. Our purpose is more subjective. It is subjective. Each individual's purpose is different because I am here to accomplish a certain goal. You came here to learn a certain lesson. And you might keep coming here to learn certain lessons that attribute to your growth and evolution. But since we are in a condition of slavery, that is being hindered, stunted, restricted, violated. So, freedom requires action. Stay away from the dialectics and misdirection and deception. These are merely the symptoms of an underlying cause. Morality, right versus wrong. I'm going to get into some questions. I hope you guys enjoyed that brief presentation. Let me exit out of here. All right, let's see what we got. Let me see. Truth is that which is. It sure is. What's up, brother? It sure is. We exist. Truth. We interact with other beings. Truth. Absolutely. What's the condition of that interaction? It's very simple. It's either voluntary or it's coercion and violence. All interactions must be voluntary. All human beings, all human interaction must be voluntary. Now, the ego immediately, well, normally when I talk about, what true freedom is, the ego immediately starts racing. Well, how are we going to do this in society? How are we going to do that in society? It's not what we're talking about. First of all, human beings can cooperate and organize. We are creative beings. That's not a problem. That's the mind control, thinking that we need oppressors, we need tyrannical masters, slave masters to rule over us because we are incapable of doing that. That's where the mind control is. Good info. It helps me to hear it, explain and re-explain from multiple perspectives to sink in. Absolutely. That's a fantastic point. I mean, you don't know how many times I've gotten messages from people that are like, "Oh, you're just copying Mark Passio." Like, you don't get it. This information is eternal. This is truth. So of course, a lot of the information that Mark, me, Chris Janston, all these other, Brandon Martin, all these fantastic content creators and the other 75 plus people on the One Great Work Network, a lot of the information is the same because we're talking about truth in nature. Now, the expression and the means of how we express that, that's creative. And that can vary. But multiple perspectives, absolutely, this is what we need to hear. Some people might not hear it from me, but they'll hear it from someone else. Someone else might say it a certain way, and it resonates with someone. That's what we need. This is what we need. We need more people understanding this most foundational, fundamental information and publicly speaking it out into the ether. There's my brother right there, Chris Jansen. What's up, man? Fulfillment of one's purpose is not fate in my heart. Purpose is built and created by dynamic living. Yeah, man. Excellent. Nature is causality, immutable. Yep. Absolutely. 100%. This is where all the religionists need to understand this. Stop acting like slaves. Get your head out of the hole. A lot of people don't even know what that means. Statements like that go over their heads. Again, I'm kind of going out of order on the comments. I'm going back up. So yes, a lot of what I've talked about today can go right over people's heads. So I'll give some advice to people. I mean, again, my whole motto is simplify the profound. These topics can be very hard for a lot of people, even something as right and wrong, morality, right? This is due to the mind control and the conditioning and programming for millennia that's ingrained in epigenetically in one's consciousness through multiple lifetimes. It's the conditioning. People have been dumbed down and their consciousness has been suppressed that it's very hard for them to understand. So it is up to us. This is part of the challenge. This is part of the One Great Work, is to make content that people can digest and can understand. That can be done in many methods, right? So this is my method. This is the method that I'm embracing. I'm embracing trying to simplify this message. My daughter's 10. I want to be able to, and I talk about this kind of stuff with her all the time, but I want to be able to explain deep spirituality and this knowledge to a 10-year-old and have her understand. I would say the majority of people are around that same age, maybe younger, in their comprehension skills. It goes both ways. How I comprehend the information and then how I express it, and then someone else's ability to comprehend the information. If one suffers, if one of us suffers, we all suffer. Absolutely. Law of one. Love is that which expands consciousness. Absolutely. Fear is that which constricts consciousness. Got it. But let me go back in kind of order with the comments. It's hard to go all the way back up to the earlier comments, so I'm just going to stay recent for you guys. Jay says, better to have 10 deliver the same good message than not having it at all. Yeah. Yep. Oh, CB said, my comment was in reference to, if one suffers, we all suffer. Yes, absolutely. Especially, a statement like that. Yeah, for sure. And again, I mean, it can be done. It can be done. It needs to be done. But again, I think there is an order of importance of information. Like understanding the difference between right and wrong supersedes that concept right there. There's an order of information that one needs to take in before they can understand a big concept like that and understand that truth. My brother Nate, what is your thoughts on most of the freedom truth movements not putting fundamental natural law sciences like this presentation in their rhetoric? It's a fucking shame, man. It's a fucking shame. It's so... I understand someone like Mark's frustrations. It's tough. Especially when I see how rampant moral relativism is in the truth and freedom community. The most of the truth and freedom communities are not spiritual. They don't have that spiritual foundation, and they're not considering, occult knowledge. They stay at the surface, like the ANCAPs and the, quote unquote conspiracies where they're just, going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole on the current events. Like a lot of the messages I got recently with the tunnels in New York. These people stay focused and fixated and invest a lot of time and attention, weeks on that. They're not going deeper within themselves and expanding their awareness. And, a lot of them don't have the skill sets for that. And that's on them. That's not a justification at all. Like, these people need to take the time and attention. And a lot of it stems with balancing yourself out first. There's a lot of left brain eggheads in the freedom and truth movement, where these spiritual concepts are hard for them. A lot of people, I would say probably the biggest issue in the truth and freedom movement when it comes to something like morality, is they're stuck in religious thought, right? And I'm not saying they themselves think they're religious. A lot of them are atheists, right? But they think when someone like myself talks about morality, I'm referring to Christianity or the Bible or Jesus Christ, which it has fucking nothing to do with that. those type of religions are making their own claim. They are trying to be the arbiters of truth, that's where the deception is. That's where the deception is. Morality is in truth in nature. And we can come to know this. So yeah, it's pretty disheartening where the freedom movement is, and there are some good content creators and people like yourself, Nate and Chris, that are spreading the message. But we need more people to do this, and we need more people to talk about the foundational information like morality, rights, truth, nature, government is mind control, like these foundational aspects. Let's see. Where was I? Thanks, Libercast. Appreciate it. Thank you. Also, another guy, Fred, doing the work, the one great work, man. Appreciate your work as well. Yeah, Jason, absolutely. We must make sure that our information is in formation. I take that as, well, what I'll say on that, you can explain, what you mean by formation. There should be a logical progression, right? Where you can build up the concepts to increase one's understanding to higher levels. So a logical progression is important. Something that I actually forgot to touch on was ethics. And I'll riff on that a little bit, right? Ethics and morality are, normally synonymous in a lot of, when you looking at definitions, but I do make a distinction. Morality is what you cannot do, right? The difference between right and wrong, what you cannot do. Ethics is what you should not do. So ethics is ultimately a higher spiritual development of internal modalities and virtues that human beings can actualize and strive for to become a more evolved human being, right? So this is the ethos that people use ethics nowadays, like what's the ethics of a group, which is, how you're going to kind of operate within that group, which again, morality is the foundation. So it's always there, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you're at the job, if it's an organization or what, it does not supersede rights. Morality is the foundation. Ethics is the more finite details on how interactions or one's own characteristics are going to function. So that's why I make the distinction. Morality is what you cannot do. Ethics is what you shouldn't do. So, here's an example where I saw a meme one time where someone was like, this is this is how you can gauge morality. It was the shopping cart test. Someone leaves their shopping cart, by their car, and they don't take it back to the rack. They're an immoral person. And see, I disagree with that. The shopping cart test is a test of ethics. Now, can someone leave their shopping cart by their car and leave it out in the parking lot? Yes, they can. They have the right to do that. Now, should they take it back to the shopping cart? I think so. That's like the nice thing to do. That's getting into the ethical realm. And again, usually ethics get more into a relative area, right? So there is a slight difference, and I'm going to do a whole presentation on ethics. It's called internal ecology, about the internal environment. It's all about high spiritual ethics. Totally forgot. Okay, anybody want to hop on? We got about 40 minutes. Let me put the link in the chats, and anyone can come on here and we can have a discussion. Let me grab the link, and I'm going to take 1 minute to take a wiki leak. I'll be right back. I'll put this up, and I'll post the link in the chat right now. Copy link. Link to join. Oops. So we got 40 minutes. Anybody want to come on? I'll be right back in 1 minute. There's the link, everyone.
Whoa. Yeah. Turn your blind eye. Whoa. Turn your blind eye. Turn your blind eye. Whoa. Turn your blind eye. Turn your blind eye. Walk on by. Don't wanna know why the mama cries. So turn your blind eye. Walk on by. Don't wanna know how them babies die. To turn your blind eye. Turn your blind eye. Turn your blind Turn your blind eye. Turn your blind eye. You might see we only wanna live here peacefully and be free. Like somebody, like everybody, free to be in our community with no bigotry coming down on me. And I learned these beautiful families. Yeah, we wanna be free. Is that so hard to see? Yeah, we wanna be free. Is that so hard to see? Turn your blind eye. Whoa, turn your blind eye. Turn your blind eye. Whoa, turn your blind eye. Turn your blind eye. Walk on by. Don't wanna know about our history. Turn your blind eye. Walk on by. Don't wanna see all them injuries. Turn your blind eye. 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 You might see we wanna do it just be free eternally with sovereignty, integrity, and autonomy. Constitutionally, unalienably. Is that so hard to conceive in the land of the free? Is that too hard to believe? Yeah, we wanna be free. Is that so hard to see?
All right, all
Yeah,
right.
we wanna be free.
Because we want to be free. That's the Funky Father, Mike Mattingly. Whole album is very, very fantastic. All right. I'll wait to see if someone joins. I'll do some more riffs and check out the comments. Jason says, wow, I needed to hear the difference between morality and ethics. It makes sense to me. Yeah, so again, to reiterate, this is going to be a regular live show. Well, twice a month. The first and third Wednesday of the month. So every 2 weeks. For now, it will be a live or a weekly show, but I have some projects I got to wrap up that I'm really excited for. But I think next show, I'm going to do internal ecology. So keep a look on that. It's either going to be philosophy, the principles of philosophy, or internal ecology, ethics. So we'll see. I just noticed. I don't know why the fuck it does that. Facebook, it always blocks my live show. It doesn't block it. It puts it private, and then you make it public, and then you share it, but it doesn't go anywhere. People don't see it. Where did you put the link? Okay, maybe people aren't. Let me see. Let me put it in there again. Invite. Yeah, Chris, come on, man. Come up here. Nate. Anybody can come up here. It's all good. And look, I'm the type of person, I'm very well grounded in myself. Anybody want to come up here and push back and ask questions? This is why I do this show. This is what the Will Tell Truth live show is going to be all about. Speaking the truth, come up here, and this is what it is. Okay. There's the link. Let's see what else we got. Oh, hi, Patty. Sorry about that. There's tons of comments. I appreciate everyone watching the show, and I have to scroll up. Okay, here we go. It's early. Even if the psychopaths were wiped off the planet, would it just revert back if our thinking, actions, etc. do not change? Absolutely, yes, it would. It would stay the same. This is what people don't understand. Great question, Patty. Thank you. Even though the psychopaths get wiped off the planet, right? All the big psychopaths, you take them off the planet, they will be replaced because the change has to be in the mind, right? So this is something that is hard for a lot of people. There's no solution by removing the psychopaths. Well, hey, they can die. I'm cool with that. They are violating people, but that's not where the longevity, the long-term change is going to come. You're absolutely right. So for long-term change has to be done in the minds of the individuals. All right. Yeah, here we go. We got some of my peoples coming up. Let's welcome Chris Janston and Evil Podcast.
Hey, what's up, Will?
What's up? And we'll bring my brother Fred on here from the Libercast. What's up?
What's going on, Fred?
Can you hear me?
Yep. You guys are both coming in. All right, so let's
Is there
do.
any sound?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep. You guys are both coming.
Oh, got an echo on Fred's end.
Got it. We'll wait for him to clear that up. But Chris, real quick, give me your riff on objective morality. Is it objective? Your thoughts on that, and your thoughts on if that topic is important for creating real-world, long-term change.
Yeah, I think personally it's extremely important. I tend to think that the word objective is confusing to a lot of folks, the more I've realized over time. But it's kind of like the discussion about truth, epistemology. What is truth? If there's no such thing as truth, then, anything could happen. Everything's totally random, right? If there's no such thing as objective morality, then anything's okay, right? I mean, that would mean like you could rape somebody whenever you want. Why not? If there's no such thing as objective morality, then why wouldn't we just take things as we want them without care for how it affects other people? I guess logically, sometimes it wouldn't make sense. But if you were the biggest, strongest person, there's nothing wrong with just pushing people around and taking their things, right? So to me, it's pretty obvious. It proves itself, just like truth. If there was no, like you said, apophatically, if you look at it from the opposite perspective, what do you get? What does that leave us?
That's right.
Yeah, I did want to... Oh, go ahead, Fred.
Thank you, Will, for having me on your podcast. I appreciate it. Hi, Chris. How you
Hey,
doing, man?
good.
Absolutely,
So,
Fred. Thanks for joining.
I wanted to say about that. I did the same thing as Mark, and is asking the question. You know, do you believe? Do you know that there's right and wrong, good and bad behaviors? And most people said to me, "No, it's subjective. It's human made. Morality is human made." Until I turned the conversation around. If these harm was done unto you, someone come on your house and steal your stuff or beat you up, you know,
Yeah.
what do you think about that? And most people they were unable to respond to the question, and this is a major red flag we got there. It's scary because it's most people, and that's why it becomes at a point it's dangerous. It's very dangerous, and there's blind belief behind that, and the behaviors are only ego driven. I know a lot of people who are good people, but it's not the majority, the conscious people. And this is one of the thing I was inspired to talk about this because of the comment, the chat, and someone mentioned that it was really hard to approach people with this kind of information. But essentially, you're gonna grab maybe 1%, maybe 2% of them, but actually, it's invaluable. This 1% you got, this 2% you have, it's a great accomplishment, because these people will be probably driving just like you. I'm talking to future content creator or content creator. You need, what we need to do is repeat a lot. This is exactly what we need to do. It's take basic rhetorics and axioms, and then simplify it for the masses. It's not an easy task. Most of the time you cannot, the people don't have the access because of the language barrier, and the things that's what I'm confronted into with the French Canadians. They're very stubborn people, and most of them don't want to learn the language. So it's very narrow there. You have government and you have entertainment, but it's pretty much it. People are very into cultural things, and when this culture it used as a weapon, now that's dangerous.
I got a little challenge, a kind of idea I had, Will, when you were talking about ethics. Um, you know what Fred's alluding to, where this can be so difficult. If someone is really disagreeing and saying that there is not objective morality, or what I've been getting from a lot of people is proof. They want me to prove that there is a such thing as objective morality. And like I said, I think the word objective and subjective are pretty confusing to a lot of folks. They're big words and they're big kind of like ideas, and it's easy to get them confused. So, like, it's good, like you said, Fred, we got to keep kind of repeating things, and by that I mean the definitions. We need to go back to that grammar and make sure that we're on the same page with what are we talking about here. And I think it's important that, from my point of view, like, this might be a way to bridge one of those more difficult conversations with people, and I haven't really experimented it in person. It's just occurred to me. Ethics, I think, is a little bit more. There's some room for subjectivity when we're talking about ethics, as opposed to morality. Morality's, like we're saying, rock solid, like truth. But ethics, that's kind of our expression of morality in the real world. Like, how do we apply it to real life? And to me, that's what that word means, ethics. We create a code of ethics but might be a little bit different from the code of ethics, that there might be some gray areas. So I'm curious if you agree with what I'm saying there, Will and Fred.
I mean, morality, it needs to be thought and learned from the masses. The quality and the presentation is only one part. I mean, the outreach there, I think it's the real blocker there. This we have censored internet and social medias. They're very picky on the information that you put out. Most of us are probably shadow banned everywhere, and but it's not a reason to stop. I mean, there's a lot of uh, streaming plays that there's no censorship. It's all like self-contained and like Odyssey, and you have these places that you can get the information. But ignorance is what I want to do to say. It's ignorance is not a reason. It's not a justification. What is going to happen is, if people stay ignorant and complacent, there's going to be chaos, there's going to be pain, and there's going to be conflict, because it's simple as that. It's common sense.
Absolutely.
People will make their own choices. We cannot make them make their choices for them. So they will have to choose the hard way, or maybe a better way.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I've seen is, comment when I've had some really good conversations and people that have taken in the information that I've talked about, but yet I'm mainly talking about in my personal life, close friends, family, but they think that they themselves cannot make a change. And a lot of people want to know how it's going to play out. And that's the thing. It's like, look, we don't have all the answers. We're not going to know how this is going to play out, but we can still identify the problem and we can understand how to create the change. The whole point of getting people to understand what objective morality, the difference between right and wrong, and understand what is going on in the world is to act within their own lives to their capacity, right? To detach from the systems of slavery, control, and violence. And that might be different for each person. Someone might be a police officer. Well, guess what? You're going to have to quit your cult, because you having that position is doing a great deal of harm. Other people might need to, I don't know, quit their jobs in certain aspects, consider homeschooling their children. It can come in a variety of aspects. But also, one of the main things is, if we look at the pandemic and you saw how many people obeyed and complied and submitted to the dictates of the master class and to these, false authorities and these order followers, the violators, that's proof right there that the majority of people do not understand the difference between right and wrong behavior. So in a situation, in a condition where the majority now of people are understand and are conscious and exercising their conscious, right, which the free will choice of right action over wrong behavior, then when the social engineers try to pull some bullshit, people are going to stand up and act on that and defend themselves and not comply, etc. So
It's to learn to say no. That's it.
Like,
yeah.
We all know what reality means, right? Like, reality means that's this realm we're experiencing. So what objective means is something having reality but independent of me, right? So I mean, I think that differentiation, it's like I was saying, it's been occurring to me that we need to kind of spell out these terms even more, like you always say, Will, simplify the profound. What does subjective mean, right? Like subjects, right? Subjective. What does that word mean? Um, we need to explain this for people. So I think a good definition of objective is something having reality independent of the mind. So it depends, it's real. Whether I think about it, doesn't matter how I think about it. Whereas subjective is the opposite of that, where it's coming from my perspective. And so the subjective point of view is going to be different than Will's point of view, or different than Fred's point of view. That would be subjective, right? And so what I'm saying is we can have subjective views on what's right and wrong. There are gray areas, and that's what I would define as more an ethical construct. But morality is the hard line, the principle that is independent of my mind and independent of Will's mind and independent of Fred's mind. Does that make sense the way I said it?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
very
the way
good.
that I explained to people is simple. There's objective truth and there's subjective truth. You have the truth that you have nature. Nature, it's all. Nature is nature. But you have your subjective truth, the taste you have, your biases, what you believe in. What is your formation when you were growing up with your family, the people who surrounded you. It's all subjective to everyone is different. Everyone has a different experience. So I think one of the thing that I decided to put more emphasis on is empathy. And empathy is a good tool to share for sharing this information that we're talking here, having genuine conversations, and we don't have to agree on everything. We have our subjective thing there, but what we need to do is get on the same page and working together. And that's the thing that is very important for me, at least. I mean, I'm like that with my family and things like that. So as above, so below.
Yeah, for sure. As within, so without, right? As well. So that's the law of freedom right there. I mean, we talk about the law of freedom.
Correspondence.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. As within, so without. So I mean, if you're immoral, then absolutely you're causing wrongdoings, wrong actions. I love what both you guys said, and I actually want to put an emphasis on defining words. I'm a word junkie. I love, and when I was a teenager in the public indoctrination camps, I used to hate reading. Like I cheated on my book reports and all that kind of shit. I was very much anti that. That was from being in that state and that conditioning of being forced to read topics and books that I didn't want to read. Then later on in life, I discovered reading what I love. And now reading books, words are some of my passions that I love. But having definitions is extremely important. This is what a definition is. From infinite meaning, defining it down to the finite. And that word has an objective meaning. It has an objective vibration in its origin, where it comes, and this is what etymology is. Now, one of the problems with relativity, and I'm, a big proponent against relativity, because when someone's in that relativistic mindset, truth is relative, language is relative, words are relative, then nothing. You cannot communicate with anyone. You can't know anything. There is no right or wrong. There is no harm. Lying doesn't exist. So you can keep unfolding this and see where it goes. And it gets us into the condition where the social engineers want people into a state of complete actual chaos and confusion. And that's what relativity is.
It's like overwhelm. It's like when you get so frustrated with all these things going on at once that you just throw up your arms and say, fuck it. I just don't want to do anything anymore. I just want to give up on everything. And I think that's what I've heard, like a lot of what I talk about, or the talking points I've come up with, are based on real life conversations I've had with people over and over. And what I found is people will consistently come up with the exact same arguments almost across the board. You can almost predict the next thing that the person's going to say. And they feel insulted a lot of times because I come across almost like holier than thou, like I already have the answer prepared. And I don't know how to not do that, because it's troubling that people keep coming up with these same things they say. But when you really look at the definitions of words, like Will says, a lot of times you can derive the truth, because there is an objective truth, right? But okay, like here's an area that's a little bit gray. Go ahead and look up word. I just looked up ethics. You could look it up on Merriam-Webster. You could look it up on dictionary.com. You could look it up on, there's probably 10 different dictionaries that you could look it in easy, right at your fingertips, right? And under each definition, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 different versions of a definition. And then if you go to the etymology, you're going to find like the history of this word and how it formed. And this is all fun. Like Will says, I get into this stuff because once you start doing it, you start seeing all these correspondences. And you can really, if you take a little bit of time and discernment with it, you really can get something from it. And that's where I'm saying, like, I've realized there's a bit of a bridge here with the word ethics. What people always get hung up on every time in these conversations, when I talk about objective morality, is that they're like, but there's so much relativism in the world, right? How can you say there's one right or wrong? There's all kinds of rights and wrongs. And they'll start thinking of all the little exceptions and details. And that's my point, is if you look up the word ethics, it's a set of moral principles, which is a theory or system of moral values. So ethics is the principles of conduct based on morals. So morals are the rock. They're the cornerstone. Ethics is the interpretation or the understanding or the application. So we can have a lot of relativity, and there are gray areas. And like some places you go, if you're not wearing a hat while you're eating, that might offend some people. Is that wrong morally? No. But in the situation, it's kind of ethically wrong because you're not respecting the people's tradition. And that's just respecting people. You know what I mean? You don't have to agree with why they do something. You know what I mean? And then there's going to be gray areas even in that. What if their tradition is you slap somebody in the face? You're like, I don't slap people in the face. Just because that's your tradition, I'm not going to do that. I have to draw a line there, because that's where my morals meet with my ethics. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Ethics it's extremely important. I'm looking forward to this presentation to really dive in, because they're interwoven together, meaning that right action can, really stems from good internal ecology of ethics, right? Integrity, honesty, righteous anger, speaking the truth. That's high spiritual ethics. So real quick, let me see. We got 9 more minutes, and then we're gonna wrap up. We got someone that I know, Leo Zamora. What's up, brother?
Will, what's up, man?
What's up, dude?
Great to hear all the knowledge that you're spitting for everyone, man. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, man.
I wanted to ask you,
well.
man, you made some great albums that I still listen to this day, man. And I want to know what are some of the challenges that you faced in getting your music to the masses?
Excellent question. Man, another life ago, in the music industry, and on this topic of morality and ethics, being in the music industry, I could see that, it was very cutthroat when you get to a certain level, right? I mean, as far as getting songs played on the radio, sure, you can get a song played on the radio, but they want, $10,000 to do that. So the ethical standards were very low. But you know, a lot of the methods of just getting music out there in general is influence methodologies in general, right? It takes hard work and dedication. You got to promote yourself well, and you know, it was in the cards for me during that time and that lifestyle. I learned a lot about myself in that time, and it's nothing that I regret living that lifestyle and you know, touring and doing the music career. It was great, but it's been well received, upgrading from that life.
Well, I have about 11 songs, and yeah, the music industry has changed. I was working at Universal Music with my buddy who's now managing an artist named Maluma. And this was during the time when Napster came about and revolutionized the industry. So my train of thought now, I don't know if you knew this, but back when I was attending USC, we ran a community service project called Operation Heads Up. And it was a 4-week educational program geared toward freshmen and sophomores to teach them not only computer skills, but so they could identify what subjects were most interest to them, at what universities were best ranked at those subjects. So by the 4th week of the program, they're presenting to their families, and these are first generation low income families that their parents maybe make less than 50,000 a year. They look at the USC price tag of 60,000 in an academic year and think it's impossible. So by the 4th week of the program, the students are presenting with PowerPoint presentations to their parents, and they're in front of financial aid counselors and campus advisors. I don't know if you remember this, but I stepped into a boxing ring when I was attending UC Santa Barbara with my cousin, who we went to high school with. And I did so because I believe they were raising funds for cancer patients. So Operation Heads Up is a community service project that I'd be willing to step into a boxing ring for. I've met many great boxers, including Roy Jones Jr., Olympian Nate Jones, who was actually a trainer for Floyd Mayweather Jr., whom I've also met, and Julio Cesar Chavez, the great champion that went 89 wins and 0 losses. So my vision for a boxing event, if Floyd Mayweather Jr. would allow me to take the bout versus this rapper named Soulja Boy, that this contract that I guess Chris Brown didn't sign, you know, I told Floyd, well, let me sign the contract. And his response was, I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm still trying to understand the truth behind that rapper Soulja Boy's words during his interview with Big Boy on Big Boy's Neighborhood. But I believe, you know, it's not even, you know, in my mind, I've already signed that contract. And that way, not only he gets paid, but we can reignite the community service project for Operation Heads Up. And we have a website called operationheadsup.com, where heads is spelled with a Z. And I'm donating all my sports memorabilia. My understanding is that the most valuable memorabilia that I own is a Ricky Henderson rookie card. And it's a Gem Mint 10. And my understanding is that the value's over $125,000. So there are, I've met Ricky Henderson, I've met Jose Canseco, and we're hoping to do some great events to fundraise, because it is, according to my calculations, about $330 to promote a boxing event like that. But I believe that my music and my mixes, I have a 7-track mixtape where each track is about 45 minutes to 60 minutes in length, would be best used to promote an event like this, man. So I want to thank you for allowing me to jump on and talk to you about what I've been working on for many moons now.
That's cool, man. Excellent. I wish you luck in that venture, and let's catch up later on the sidelines, And thanks for jumping on. We're getting close to the end of the show, but my friend Chris hopped on. I want to see what you have to say about the show tonight, or any comments on objective morality.
Yeah, it took me a little bit because my laptop was giving me issues. I think they
No
got
worries.
tagged.
You're here now. That's what counts.
I was listening in. Some of it I didn't catch the whole presentation, but I caught the gist of it. Nothing that I'm not unfamiliar with. So
I know that. Yep.
I agree with. I mean, the subjective and objective. It's like, well, you do have your personal perspective, but then you're supposed to align that with the objective when it comes to doing correct conduct, how you conduct yourself with other people. And that's the gist of what I gather. It's pretty simple, really. How you do that is where we gain the wisdom. If you make the mistakes, or you go and you step out of line with someone, and you at least recognize that and try to correct it with them. If it's something that's one of the 7 transgressions that you listed there, well, then you're gonna probably find yourself back here. You might be doing this again. How many times you want to come back and do it over and over? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, for sure. Those are great points, and I've really been enjoying the videos that you've been doing online lately. And that's the common theme of this whole live show today, and what many of the guests said as well, is that we need to bring it back down to the fundamentals, like what is subjective and objective. Many people are still stuck in the solipsistic mindset that they don't understand they're in an objective reality and nature is supreme. And if we don't obey the laws of nature, we will suffer negative consequences. We're suffering consequences regardless, but the context of those consequences depend upon our thoughts, emotions, and actions. So getting down, defining these terms, getting down to the fundamental level is really important. Some people are going to be at that level where they're ready. Again, someone has to be in that level of being truly open-minded, desire, and seeking. So time management is important. I mean, I don't engage in someone that's not ready to have at least a Socratic conversation, going back and forth with questions. Most people that I've come in contact with, especially on social media platforms, just want to spew their, like Hushin said, ideologues onto my comment pages and stuff like that. I'm all open for a back and forth, but getting people to a place of where true learning can take place and growth, then they're ready to receive, and that receptibility is high. And this is ultimately where teachability is. And we're here, we can learn from everyone, and I think that's a great thing. But getting down to the fundamentals is important.
Yeah, I think people don't take it far enough when they sit there and they say, well, what's right for me might not be right for you. Well, that might be the case in a personal situation, but not the case when it comes to the objective, correct actions, such as you don't have a right to take the life of someone else or steal from them or any of that. That is not correct, and there is no getting around that.
Exactly.
Everybody here.
That's right. And police don't have that right. The military doesn't have that right. Governments don't have that right. Corporations don't have that right as well. So that's the real big problem when you see some of these worldly events happening, like the genocide over in Gaza and all of this. Everyone wants to jump on a certain team. You got to pick your team, when the real scope needs to be focused on actual government itself, and the supporting and the condoning of governments and other other governments and corporations as well, funding and backing this. So it really does come down to knowing your rights. And if you don't know your rights, then you can't say no. And if you can't say no, then you're going to be a slave. And unfortunately, as one suffers, all suffers. So the ignorance of one amplifies to the ignorance of the many. And this is the problem, right? So ignorance begates slavery. And this is what we need. This is our goal. This is the one great work.
Yeah.
So real quick, I want to do a quick little round, take a minute, closing discussions. We'll start with you, Chris, and we're going to wrap up the show. And again, I appreciate all the viewers and my guests tonight. So go ahead, Chris Jansen.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that, subjective, that's the world of our senses. And the most magical thing we've been given in this existence is the ability to make choices based on, what we receive through our senses, So our subjective decisions and choices are the tool we've been given to affect this world. And we do affect it and change it. And that can be clearly seen in so many ways. You can prove that to yourself. You don't need me to prove it to you. And so I would just say, we just did a great talk. I saw that comment about school on education as the solution on the One Great Work Warriors. We do a conversation once a month. And folks want to check out my show and Evil Podcast tomorrow night. It's 6 p.m. Pacific. And I'm doing a great show about the path to entrepreneurship tomorrow. And I think becoming an entrepreneur is one of those real world applications of the principles that Will and I are discussing and that Christopher discussed and Fred on their work as well. So I'll pass it off to, you want to go to Fred next?
Cool.
So I want to thank you, Will, for your awesome work, man. Your stuff, your presentation, man, your slides are awesome. And thank you so much for that. And thank you to Chris and the two other guy. Thank you for being there and share. And I want to say that share this video, people. This presentation tonight and the conversation we had. We need share this stuff. Share it, and then if you can do it now. Do it yourself. We need more people involved in it. So get your ass off the couch and do something. We need it right fucking now. So thank you to all the people, and my podcast is called the Libercast on YouTube and Odyssey and Facebook, and I started to stream on D Live from time to time. So check that stuff up. It's bilingual. There's French stuff. There's English stuff in the podcast. So thank you again, guys.
Excellent. Thanks, Fred. Chris, we'll go to you. And then we'll go to Leo, and I'll end up my closing statements.
All right. You're not wrong about the great work, and it's a heavy duty one. I wanted to say about government, right there in the definition of the word, it says mind control, but there is no external. They just create the illusion of such, the manipulation. I want to point out, I am planning to hopefully do another, get back on and do a live stream. I'm shooting for Friday. Mine's called Standing for Freedom by Speaking the Truth. So I'm not on the One Great Work Network yet. Don't know if or when that'll happen. I'm not up there yet. Don't even have a website, so I'm working on it. Everything's a work in progress for me, but great show, great work, you guys. I love hearing this stuff because I don't hear it enough where I'm at. I have family members that are, I would say, confused about many things. So that I'll leave it there.
Excellent. And you said you're streaming. I know you're doing some live videos. Is that on Facebook and Twitter?
Yeah, I stream out to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. YouTube has been, they knocked me down off, knocked one of my videos off because I mentioned the big C word there.
Fuckers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the second time they did it, and then I tried to appeal, and then they said, "No, we're right. You're wrong. We're going to leave it off." And I couldn't even do it in the comments to give them an earful. So,
Got
yeah,
it.
how that worked.
Excellent, man. Keep up the great work, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining on. Leo, you got it. You got a minute? You can do a closing statement on the live show and mention that website again for me, brother.
Oh, thank you again, and for an opportunity to be seen. And truth is always the right decision. Lies cause nothing but chaos for any situation, and it causes confusion, and it causes injustices to be perpetuated, and it's wrong. It's so wrong. You never have to remember the truth because you're speaking it. So I think it's great what you're doing, Will. I love hearing your perspective on things. Again, thank you for allowing me to be seen. The website is operationheadsup.com. Heads is spelled with the Z. And if you scroll to the very bottom of the website, you'll be able to connect with us on various social media platforms, including Instagram, etc. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about, and any and all support we're grateful for. So gratitude to you, Will, and everyone on this podcast.
Excellent. Thanks, Leo. All right, gentlemen, thanks for being a guest on the show. I'm going to go front stage and give my closing statements, and we'll wrap it up, man. See you guys next time. Fantastic guest. I'm glad they hopped on. Again, the show's open at the end. All my shows are going to be like this. They're going to be open discussions. I'll put the link in the chat. You guys can hop on here and talk it out. And I actually wanted to read a passage by the great Walter Russell. This is on the back of his book. And he's talking, when he says the message, he's talking about cosmic knowledge that's in this book. This is the book, The Message of the Divine Iliad by Walter Russell. Fantastic mind. This message is given for the purpose of saving mankind from self-destruction through the lack of cosmic knowledge. Ignorance of universal law threatens civilization and extinction. With extinction, we have built our empires and founded our industries by violating natural law. Peace, happiness, and prosperity can only be attained through comprehension and obedience to natural law, while disobedience to this law breeds fear, hate, and emanates, which are the cause of periodic wars and decadence of man. Powerful book. Someone that understands cosmic, universal, natural law, understands the divine laws of creation that are immutable, applies to us all, and brings us the consequences of our actions. And that's a powerful book. There's some other resources to understand objective morality. Richard Weatherall, right is might, which is a fantastic phrase, because if you think about it, like Leo was just saying, you're speaking the truth, right action. You can never go wrong with morality, being a moral individual and taking action, even if you suffer harm from that. At some point, we are all going to have to act in this experience. So we need to discern that and make that call. But the solution is absolutely getting out into the public arena where we can influence and we can educate the public. So I implore everyone that's listening to this, gather your grammar, educate yourself, become literate with the modern means of publicity and expressing a message to as many people as possible by understanding the technology to propagate a message, and do that with care and attention and willpower and dedication. Because the foundations of right versus wrong is the cause of all human suffering. And it is also the solution to change and to achieve true freedom. So I want to thank everyone that's tuned in today on all the platforms. Thanks to my producer, Aaron Butler, for getting me tapped in on the One Great Work Network. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks for another live presentation and open discussion. You guys take care. Remember to seek truth and speak truth. Have a good one.